And we're going to have our next speaker up, which is Maddy. So Hannah is a senior product designer at Netflix, and she'll also talk more about AI, is about developing a learning UX for AI. She also has experience building robots and making them work for people. Hannah is coming up. Here we go. Please join me welcoming on stage Hannah Maddy.
Check, check, check. Okay, we're good. I never know if the mic's on. I guess this is my clicker. Nice to meet you guys. My name's Hannah. I work in the Studio Innovation IxDA team at Netflix. So I don't work in your traditional kind of consumer side Netflix experience that you know of. Our team is a small team of designers. We're responsible of bringing in a lot of elements of machine learning into Hollywood. So we focus on all the way from pitch all the way to play, meaning that we work on dubbing, we work on music scoring, we work on financing. So we kind of cover this whole sector of it as well. I call it a social experiment because Hollywood, parts of Hollywood isn't as friendly to technology as we hope. So it's, again, big social experiment where they're throwing a bunch of data scientists, designers, and engineers at it and see what happens. So today I just wanted to talk about some of the techniques that we use to kind of create clarity among machine learning across the teams that we work with. Yeah, cool. Oh. So yeah, there is a lot of hype. I think all the talks will go over this. I presented this in Seattle, and I know this is a banner in San Francisco. Sorry, hometown Seattle. I love cybersecurity software, so if you work there, sorry, but I use it as an example. Okay, so again, as we're witnessing now, a lot of organizations are investing heavily in this machine learning things, but I think one of the big things to understand is what are we trying to achieve. So one of the things that I sit down with product partners, data scientists, and our engineers is to go over these 5 points. What exactly are we doing here? Are we doing predictions, automation, insights, personalization, or prescription? Because that will directly impact the UX, the research that we need to do, as well as it just kind of clarifies things so we're not going fully agentic automation, for example. So here are some examples. Am I going too fast? Back it up, okay. I believe, oh, now I remember what this app was. So this app actually, you upload like a photo to Instagram and it predicts which photo would give you the most likes. Sorry, I suck at social media. Some social media thing. And then this is Nest, right? It's an automation. I'll just go ahead and set your room temperature based on what it knows. Insights, so Insights is a confusing one. It's understanding patterns and trends. So this is basically taking multiple data sets and then creating correlation for users to understand and make better decisions. Personalization, so Netflix is a really good example. We see this a lot in our consumer products. And then prescription, so suggesting solutions to possible problems. So this is a medical application here that uses some form of machine learning. So yeah, so Christian kind of went over this a little bit, but there's a wide array of technologies that we use in our products today. I like to think that machine learning is the heart of it, and the technologies that go above is kind of an overlay on top of it. But it's not really as important until you're like further really working on the UX design. This is from my workshop. This is kind of the TLDR of machine learning, but I think Christian went over this. Another thing that I like to work with the data scientists on is understanding what kind of form of learning that they're using. So, you know, we've heard supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. That supervised learning could lead to like heavily biased information, right? Because we're telling the machines what like the expected outcome is. So And I see this kind of contextual moral compass as a form of data source as well, so that we can work with the data scientists on kind of developing this said moral compass of the machine. Okay. Yeah, so the fundamentals of data science is mathematics, statistics, logical reasoning, and then there's an element of behavioral science, where UX designers, we're all about humans, we're all about people, and I think this is a key component in where we can share a lot of our research. I don't have a right answer for this right now. I'm still working with the data science to understand how we can couple the research that they're doing around human behavior and our research that we're doing around, our general user research, and combine that together. So I don't have a good answer today, but I think this is a great place where, to start that conversation with the data scientists and say, hey, guess what? Like, I do behavioral science type things too. How can we work together? Another thing that I bring to our data scientists is kind of an explanation of what we do as UX designers, aligned to the maturity model of artificial intelligence. So in the early stages, when you don't have any, machine learning strategy or any product goals, we can help you define what those product goals are. As well as research. So when you're planning out what types of data sources, how do we collect that data, and what's ethical data, and what does that moral compass look like? Again, this is a huge part where UX could come in and work really closely with the data scientists to derive some of that research and have that influence. User testing, piloting, so if you've deployed your algo and it's not, accurate, you're not too confident in it, you can still test it out, you can still run those tests through. At this stage of piloting, it's better to do it with a close net of customer development partners rather than your a beta or staging environment. And then iteration, so iteration, us going back to the users, getting feedback from the users around the feature in the AI and taking that back to the data scientists, because I think at the same time, it's okay to actually scale back the level of automations at times. Maybe it makes the user feel really uncomfortable. So we can definitely provide that. And then following, once your model has maturized, so at an advanced stage, we could support on the discovery stages. So where else can we use this model across other features or products within our application? So this is kind of how we try to help out our data scientists today. Thanks. Another thing is I like to use this XY axis thing I made to talk about where exactly does the machine learning and the feature really sit in. So on the y-axis here, I have declarative and procedural. Declarative meaning that it's like feeling and intense in terms of the cognitive science perspective, and procedural meaning it's redundant and repetitive tasks. And then left to right, I have assistive versus agentive, fully agentive automation. So when we talk about features of our data scientists, based on some of the research, I like to kind of put it onto this axis so we can have clarity in what we're talking about. So I just put an example of a Google email. So personalization is declarative. People's opinion about what color they want to change their email font will change every day. And it could be assistive if they were automating that. Suggestive email replies could be procedural. Maybe it's a repetitive reply that they're sending over and over again, but again, it's assistive. You still want to give the user the choice. And then out of office replies, maybe that's fully agentive, and again, it's another procedural task. So to kind of talk about this, I like to, again, kind of map out the technology we're building on here. It also helps set goals. So sometimes you might start somewhere where it's procedural assistive, for your MVP, and then you want to move on to somewhere that's procedural agentive, or maybe you realize that you wanted to go completely agentive and realize that's not the right thing for the user. Oops. Another thing I like to do with our data scientists is have them tell us what data that they're consuming. So, and this is an example, because we work in Hollywood, a lot of our data, half of our data is structured, like it's from scraping the internet, talent financial, and then a lot of it is intuition and relationships and really, all kinds of data. So, and we're kind of consuming a lot of that into a lot of algos, but I like the data scientists to kind of sticky up kind of where they were getting their data from. So this is where we can actually pull up the red flag, and then we're like, hey, interpersonal relationship data for talent. Maybe we don't want to use that to power our algo. You know what? Let's go ahead and talk about, pull in our lawyers to see if that might be a defamation case, right? So, having them expose where and how they're pulling that data can help drive that conversation. Another thing that can allow you to do is it also gives you a chance to provide some of the data. Maybe you find that, you know what, through the UX that we've built, we can easily help you collect some of the data that we think that would help power that algo as well. So, okay, cool. Time's up. Great, thank you so much.